An indoor town complete with a simulated sky and the sights, sounds, and smells of nature is helping Alzheimer's and dementia patients experience a better quality of life. Jean McKesh is an occupational therapist and the owner and creator of the Lantern Assisted Living facilities, one of which has just opened in nearby Chagrin Falls. He joins us to share more about these unique nursing homes meant to give residents the feel of a hometown. Welcome to the program, Jean.
Thank you so much, Karen. Happy to be here.
How'd you come up with this idea?
This was sometime in 03, 04. I had pretty much everything that I did so far in all my 3 buildings is purely something that my clients taught me. They are the real creators. I'm just a translator of their views and their ideas. Every evening around 5:30, Norma, she was about 94 years old, very successful woman out of New York. Once upon a time owned about few private jets, and she would stop by my office and she's ready to go home, and she would say, I want to go home, and I would ask Norma, what do you have in mind? She said, I got to go see my mom, and that really, I had a good hour drive back home, and that kind of stuck in my head. And I was wondering, what is it I can do to help Norma? I had another client called Walter, very successful man, owned vineyards, malls. Every evening around 7:30, he would start walking down the corridor asking for breakfast. It's still nice, bright and sunny outside, and that's a ritual. At that time, I decided for me to do a better job caring for my clients with this particular disease condition, Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, I really have to understand the human brain. And that's when I went back to my basics. I started reading neuroanatomy back and forth, back to back, try to get a good feel for how the human brain responds and trying to understand the pathophysiology of the disease. At that time, I told myself, what if I create an environment inside the building where the sun can rise and the sun can set? When they step out, they feel like they're actually outdoors. What if I could have moon and stars come in the night? What about creating a streetscape? What about taking them back to 1930s and 1940s? Every unit looks very similar to a home. What about bringing plants indoor? What about having water features inside? What about doing coming up with a carpet solution that looks like a turf, a grass?
And you have the front porches, I noticed.
And the porches too, absolutely. And the reason we did that, Karen, is because the more you understand the disease, as the client progresses from one stage to another. There are about 7 stages, and I like the stages. I like the way it's broken down. There are different ways of describing stages. I like the 7-stage model because the 7-stage model is kind of takes you through, helps you understand the functions that the client tends to lose as they go from stage 1 through stage 7. And what happens is when the client starts migrating, stage 1 is normal, stage 2 is normal age forgetfulness, stage 3 is MCI, that's mild cognitive impairment, and stage 4, 5, 6, 7. As the client starts progressing through those stages, they revert back to their early childhood days. What it means is, if they're at stage 5 or stage 6, their cognitive function is very, very similar to a 4-year-old or maybe a 10-year-old, or they are adults, but their cognitive abilities are very similar to that age group, and that's another. And also as they progress through the disease process, their memories, they tend to remember things, from their early life. So creating an environment just 4 walls up, and I think it's going to be a conflict for them. All of a sudden, they're about 4 years old, or maybe 8 years old, or 10 years old, living in a space that they're not able to relate to. So essentially, everything that we designed in all 3 buildings is very, very therapeutic.
Now, you decided to put the smells and the sounds of nature in. And when I had heard about your story, I saw it on, I think, Cleveland.com. I had just got back from Disney and I thought, wow, this really reminds me of a ride I was on at Epcot called Soaring, where you feel like you're flying and they use wind and sound and water. And I had to keep telling myself, this is not real. You're not going to run into a building. And that's what I thought of, is that, how did you think about incorporating not only a visual aesthetic of a 1940s town, but the sights and sounds of nature?
Well, the key thing is the environment plays a huge role. It does impact our attitude, our posture, the way we engage ourselves with each other. There's a reason why you feel good about being, when you go down to a spa, or you're down in Florida enjoying the beach. Environment plays a huge role. It does impact our cognitive abilities, like memory, problem solving, judgment skills, and things like that. There's also a reason why the spa smells good, and all our 5 sensory centers essentially perceives all the impulses and sensory impulses, and they're organized. And the final output is the way we express ourselves, the way we engage ourselves. And the most important thing is if we can address the environment, and then I have a client free of undesired emotions such as anxiety, depression. Now the smell, we do pump different types of aroma throughout the day into the space, like frankincense, lavender, peppermint, rosemary. They all have therapeutic outcomes. They all have a therapeutic benefit. And that's how this whole aromatherapy came into play. Music, I took music to one step further. In our brain, we have different waves: alpha waves, beta waves, gamma waves, theta waves. And I said, why, instead of just creating a playlist, let's take it one step further. How about we actually find a way to embed those waves in the playlist? So when the client moves in, we ask for their playlist, what they enjoy listening, and based on what kind of response we want from the client during a therapeutic session, we embedded those waves.
Wow, Gene, this is just so incredible and groundbreaking. How can people get more information if they'd like to stop by and check it out? Because I think there's probably a lot of family members of Alzheimer's patients that might look at this setting and say, wow, this feels more like a home than a sterile hospital room. How can they get more information?
Absolutely. Our website is www.lanternlifestyle.com. We also have another website. It's www.svays.com. And we do have a lot of podcasts there. I kind of take my audience through the process, what they can do even at home. There is so much we can do. We are challenging ourselves that in the next 5 years or so that we will be able to get our clients to perform or function at the highest level of independence. In 10 years, it's kind of lofty, but we are challenging ourselves that we will send them back home.
That is absolutely incredible. And personally, having some family members who recently had to go to this type of care, not your type of facility, it's for family members, I think that's very encouraging. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with more Mind, Body, and Spirit.